Hey there, welcome to the table. We're going to discuss Lords of Baseball. I know I was doing an Elder Scrolls campaign and the time ran out, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to finish that for you. The game is now being used for multiplayer purposes. You can see I still have my mat out because we are playing using the mat. It's just that we're in between weeks, and so the game's put away, and I'm going to be playing this Lords of Baseball. So I've never played it before. We're going to learn this together. It's it feels like a medium weight game. I'm very familiar with Mr. B Games. Mr. B himself used to interact with me quite a lot online. I don't know how much he remembers me because our relationship goes back to 10 years. There's a particular story that if I reminded him of that story, he would know instantly who I am. But I can't share that here. It's a private thing. But that's the thing that he would definitely remember me with that. And so we haven't spoken for a while, obviously. But anyways, I do have a special place in my heart for this particular publisher. I also very strongly love seeing success with Danverson Games. Now, you would think that either of them would send me advanced copies of stuff so, I can help my YouTube channel, but of course they don't. But that's neither here nor there. I've never asked them. Anyways, Lords of Baseball looks pretty cool. On first blush, when you get the game, first of all, it is a 8-player game, but the box says it's 4. And it's confusing, but let me explain. It is only a 4-player game, and you can get 2 expansions, which makes it 8. And you can see that the 8 teams here are Boston, Brooklyn, Chicago, Cincinnati, New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. Or you can flip it over, and it's Washington, St. Louis, Philadelphia, New York, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, and Boston. So it depends on if you're playing the Federal League or the Continental League. Okay, so we're doing the Continental League for this particular one. What's the difference? There is absolutely no difference other than the team names. The rules are exactly identical. I think there was a missed opportunity there, to be honest. Obviously, I think this is going back to the older days. So I don't know my baseball history well enough to know if American League and National League was really different in terms of the way, you had pinch hitters or where the pitcher would actually go to bat or not. I don't know enough to tell you that, hey, things were different back then, so we could have had different rules. I just don't know. I just felt like it was a lost opportunity because, you got these 2 different leagues, so why are there 2 different leagues? What's the point? There is 0 rules, 0 anything. The only thing that changes, like I said, is your board. So right here I have the Pittsburgh board, which is a wonderful player board, by the way. This is top notch. And so you can see it says Pittsburgh, and then right here it says Continental League, right there in the middle. And then if you flip it over, it's the New York, presumably the Yankees. And then you can see it says Federal League right there. So you can only play one side or the other. And so the game comes with 4 boards. And so you have the Pittsburgh, New York board, and then, there's 3 other boards, as you can see here, with St. Louis, Cincinnati, and what's the other one here? Brooklyn. So those are the Continental League, and then if you flip it over, and I'm going to make sure I hold it a little bit better for the camera, then you can see it's Philadelphia, Chicago, and Boston. So what happens with, how do you get this to 8 players? So you might be thinking, well, you just got to buy 2 copies of the game. No, it's not like that. Although if you have 2 copies of the game, then you can go to 16 players. And so that is the one thing where the 2 leagues matter. So let me just point it out again. For the Continental League, there's an 8-team league. Now, New York is twice. You can see New York on this side and New York is on the other side. I'm assuming that, this side is the Mets and the other side is the Yankees, right? And then you can see, I think Chicago for sure is on both sides, and maybe even Boston is too. Yeah, Boston's on both sides. Chicago's on both sides, and even Philadelphia is on both sides. So, again, I don't know my baseball history, so like, what teams would those be representing? No clue. Because I know teams moved around, and back in the old days, they had multiple teams in each city. But anyways, getting to the point, so there's 2 expansions for the game. Each expansion adds 2 more teams. So, case in point, we have Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Brooklyn on the base game. The first expansion will have 2 of the teams that's on either side. So you'll get the other New York and the other Philadelphia, for example. And then the other expansion will have the other Chicago and the other Boston. And I might have my teams mixed up on the expansions, but that's how the expansions work. So you can play an 8-player game if you buy those 2 expansions. Now, if you buy 2 copies of the game along with those expansions, you could then do a Continental League. That's 8 players, and then you can have 8 more players doing the Federal League, and then you do like a Super World Series, or truly introduce like a World Series concept. That's a little bunkers, if you ask me. You got to have a lot of people that really enjoy this game. I don't know if I have anybody in my group that enjoys this game. I think they will enjoy it. I haven't played it with them yet, of course. I just don't think that we would enjoy it that much. But I did get the expansions, so we could do an 8-player game. Again, I'm not sure I'll ever have 8 players to play it, but it is a cool concept. I love the idea of this game, and I hope you will too. It's a very interesting game, and I don't want to say it's a brain burner, but I think there's a lot of cool concepts in this, and I really applaud these types of designs because I like to see more stuff like this. Okay, so with that said, you have your player board, you have the game board, you have this, which you got to put on the appropriate side. You also get this, which is representing your stadium. And so obviously I need a Pittsburgh stadium as well to go with my Pittsburgh team. And of course, this is the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then what you got to do is when you get your board, you take these tokens, and you'll notice that this says L1 here. It says a yellow L1. And then you'll notice that there's an L2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you just got to put that somewhere over here, near your board. And then these are upgrades that you can make to your stadium. And so here you can see there's an L1 green, and then there's a 2 through 8. Then there's an L1 red, 2 through 8. And then we have an L1 blue. And then this is 2 through 8. So we have all these upgrades here that are available for your stadium. So make sure you set that up appropriately. Obviously, they have them for all the other teams, and they are also double-sided, just like before. There are 4 player aids. Of course, we only need 1. The player aid looks decent. I don't think it's missing too much. We're going to put it to the test. That's one of my things I always look for in a game, is how good is the player aid. We have 2 sets of cards. One that says Continental, which of course we're going to play with, and the other one says Federal, which we're not going to do. So these are out. Now, what are on them? It's just one team versus the other. So there's 8 teams, and then you just go through until. So basically, there should be 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exactly. Because if you're playing as New York, this one's Philadelphia. That one's Boston. So it's playing against all 7 other teams. So what does this represent? This represents the schedule. Except it's not a schedule like you would have in real life. So New York plays Philadelphia throughout the entire season, right? And let's say they play, 20 games. They could split the series 10-10. Well, that's what this represents. So throughout the season, New York is going to play Philadelphia. These cards, what you do is you draw them, and that's who you resolve the outcome of the series. So we're going to do something and determine like how many games in the series did New York win, or in our case, Pittsburgh, right? So you don't play all 22 games or 20 games or however many there are. You don't do, well, here, it's right here. It's on the player board. So there's 22 games between them. So it either is split 11-11 or you can win 22-0. You know, it all depends on your strength difference, which is here. And my voice whistled there. I was not expecting that. So from a game mechanics perspective, we're going to draw these one at a time. And if I'm playing as New York, then I'm going to resolve my series with Detroit. And then we're going to do all the game mechanics that's involved in doing that. And then while I'm doing this, if you have other players at the table, they would resolve their series. So we are going to play NPCs. So there's going to be bots in this game. And all 8 teams are going to be represented. It's a pretty slick system. And then they just released I don't know how long ago they released it, but they have solo rules that do not come with the game. So you do need to go to Board Game Geek and download them. And that is unfortunate because I wish they would have had it with the game, but here we go. So the first thing about the solo rules, let me grab my papers here, is the solo rules are 3 pages long, and you just need to print them out. And then they give you a new player aid just for solo play, and it's called the Deadball Dynasty. That's the name of the solo rules. So we have this player aid we're going to use as we go through. We have, see, this is already a problem because my camera gets in the way. Let me move this somewhere. I'm going to move it over here. Just get it more out of the way because I need room for the camera. Some component quality is very lacking in this game. Number one, I don't like the fact that I have to print out solo rules, but I am very grateful that they made them. So, like, on one hand, it's like beggars can't be choosers, right? But anyways, so the way the game was originally made, and speaking of component quality, look at how much this is warped since I just opened the game yesterday. It's just it's a cardboard, it's a flimsy cardboard, like cardstock, that it just easily warps. And so I have it like underneath the board because I'm trying to keep it from warping on the other side. So in the original game, you played against the other 7 teams that you see there, and it was a beat your own score, which is horrible. Horrible. And from a solo perspective. And so those teams would have, they get a record, like they're going to win 86 games for the season or something. And so then you just needed to beat more games than them or whatever, and then try to get as many victory points as you can. The teams didn't even score victory points. So you had no victory points to even go up against. It was just literally, hey, I got 30 victory points last time, and this time I got 50, so I played better. That's all it was. So the game was really meant to be multiplayer in that perspective, because then you're at least competing against somebody else for victory points. But this changes everything. The Deadball Dynasty solo rules makes it so you're up against potentially 3 rivals. You can play with just one of them, or you can play with all 3. And they add Ed Buchanan, Harold Sutton, and Samuel Worthington. And these players will score victory points. So you're playing against, you're still playing an 8-team league. And so some of those teams are going to just truly be represented as, just teams that you have to overcome. But these 3 will actually be your rival and try to score points and whatever against you. So you're going to have victory points that you need to beat. And I really appreciate that. So anyways, we're going to get more of those details later. And then for each of the rivals, they give you some cards that you also have to print out. And you can tell I just printed out on regular paper. I didn't, laminate or do anything funky. But like Samuel Worthington here, you can see with this printout that this card is meant to be used for, like, what's he going to do in certain situations. And we're going to have card IDs. Like, we're going to draw cards. So, for example, this card here has a 1 on the bottom. That has a 56 on the bottom. And so based on the card that's played, so if it's a 1, he gets -1 victory points. If it was the 56, it's right here, he gets 0 victory points. So what happens is we get to play cards like this. And if you're playing against another human, so like if I play this card, it says play in front of you and keep until the retirement draw, right? It gives you like a power. And you're going to have like a hand of these. So there's a little bit of hand management, right? And so when I'm playing against his team in the series, I would play that card. And that card, I get the bonus that's on it. And really what I do is I play it face down. And if I'm playing against another human, he also plays a card, right? And face down. And then we reveal our cards and then we resolve the powers. And the powers actually get resolved, I think, in the highest number to the lowest. So the 99 would go first. And then, without getting into all the rules, then you resolve who wins the series. And it's going to be, like I said, it could be split 11-11 or whatever. So anyways, that's how the multiplayer series gets resolved, is you got 2 people playing cards and then, something happens. Well, when you're playing against these bots, there is no card for the bot because there's no human playing the bot. And so you only get to play the cards, so only you get these special powers. And so this obviously gives you an advantage over the bot. And like I said, the original rules didn't care. Like, you had an advantage over the bot, and the bot would have this superficial strength, and you just had to beat it in order to determine like how many wins you got for the season. Well, in this case, the number on the card, which in this case is a 1, the bot actually scores points based on the card you play. And what's interesting is this one, he gets -1 point. So this is that's like a card that it really is a very effective card for us. Would cause the bot to lose some points. And so that's what this is. This is just a bunch of instructions for the bot. We have one for Mr. Worthington, Mr. Buchanan, and Mr. Sutton. So all 3 of them are available, and we're going to play all 3. I know they said to only do 1, but you know me, I don't do that kind of crap. We play with everything. So we got to set up the game, and I want to go through some other components here. You have these tokens for, so you're going to manage money in the game, and you have these tokens for taking loans. And the way loans work is at any point in the game, you can take $20. But you lose 2 victory points, and that's immediate. And then also at any point in the game, you can pay back $25 and get 1 of your victory points back. Now, they give you a bunch of these tokens. I don't know why they felt the need to do tokens. Like, if anything, if I took loans or whatever, I would just, you're losing victory points. I don't know. Like, I just felt like there was maybe a better way to track it, but it's cool nonetheless. It's not that is a very nitpicky gripe. There's these retirement tokens. So there's a phase in the game where at the end of the season, there's a potential retirement. And the way this works is in a multiplayer game, you're going to draw a bunch of these, and whoever's losing the game gets to pick first. So they might take the retirement none, and then whoever's winning the game is going to be forced to take something like this, which is going to, force them to front office, loses a level, and 2 regulars. So, like, these are things that they just have to, whoever's winning the game is going to have to deal with whatever. It's like a draft. Everybody it's a catch-up mechanism. Lets the person who's losing the game to get a bonus or not get a penalty. How about that? And then the people who are winning are going to possibly and very likely get a penalty. So in a solo game, we still draw those. It's just not as exciting as a multiplayer game. And we're going to see how the, because like I understand the multiplayer rules. I don't know the solo rules as well. But we're going to see if the solo bots do something exciting with that. I don't know if they will. So like I was saying, the original intent of the game is you're beating your own score. And so you're just drawing 2 retirement tokens and just resolving one of them against yourself. You don't have the excitement of other players, really sticking it to you because they got to see them all, and then they let you deal with the cleanup. Then there's also, we already talked about those. These are media chips. They're meant to represent that you have media influence, and they go in a pile here. Again, I don't know why they gave us chips. Like, some of the game is represented by these cool, you move cubes along and, indicate how much money you have. Sometimes you're getting money that looks like this, right? But they have this to let you represent money. But then when it comes to the media chips, they don't just give you a different color cube that you can also use to track how much media you have. Instead, you got to carry these chips and manage, a pile of them in this tiny corner of your board. It's just weird choices like that that I don't know, they surprised me a little bit. I felt like you could just have different color cubes and you could actually save yourself some production costs, and just manage it all here. I understand that maybe 2 cubes have to be on the same spot, and that could be problematic. I get all that, but I just felt like there was another way, because these are not flimsy. I don't want to say that, but they're just dull looking chips. I mean, there's hardly any color on them, right? They're not that exciting, and so you could tell they were cutting costs on their production anyways. Like I said, the player rate's pretty good. It's the same cardstock that's warping as the other one. This board is fantastic, and then not only is it fantastic, but it's like double-sided with the I don't know what you call it. Is that beveled, or the indented? It's fantastic because I mean, they put all their money into this one, and then they cut corners everywhere else. The game board is fine. The cards themselves, there are quite a few. First of all, this is all you need from a player. You got the different colors representing your player, and the cubes and the whatnots are going to go into here or on the game board. We have, this is another one. So these are superstars or star players, right? And so the idea is you're going to have star players on your team, and you just set them off to the side like that. So this represents that I have 4 star players on my team. The actual card means nothing. I could have literally just had a cube that said 4 on it. And so it's just again, it's another weird spot where they put in some production value. And I sort of get it, but it's not like the card has any text on it. It has none. And what's even stranger is these are pictures of what I'm assuming to be people who work for the designer, or somebody wearing a fake mustache, or like this. This looks like someone's kid wearing. I mean, it's just some of them actually look really cool. Like that one, you can just see is photoshopped in. Actually, that one looks cool. That one looks very photoshopped. That one looks cool. I actually think that's one of the designers. They do a good job. I'm not picking on it too badly, but it's just you could clearly tell these aren't real baseball players. And so they have all these pictures in here, and I'm guessing maybe these are Kickstarter backers. Maybe that's, you pay a little bit extra and get your. I can understand that. I didn't back this game, so maybe that's what the trick was. So anyways, you got all these cards. Each one represents that you have a star on your team. The number of regulars you have on your team is represented by a cube. The number of prospects, which are in the minor leagues, is represented by a cube. You see what I mean? It's clearly different. Now, on the back of these cards is a pay table, but they're identical. It doesn't matter how many I pull up. They're all the same. See? 10, 10, 35, 35. They're identical all the way across. So the chart on the back is printed over and over and over again, and they're all the same. And all it means is if I had 4 stars on my team, I owe a salary of $50 at the end of the year, because there's a finance phase to this game. So what is sequence to the game and like what's the gist here. So we're gonna be. Oh, let me before I show this. We have the game starts in 1911. You can start on any year, really, and it's up to the players to decide like how long are you going to play. 1911 is a starter year, so there's some starter rules that go into effect. The other years are not considered starter years, so there are some changes that happen. It just makes it a little bit more challenging. A full-length game goes from 1911 all the way to 1917, so you're going to play for 7 years. And for each of those years, you can see right here along the top there, there is a spring training, then a regular season, and then a postseason, and then finances, and then what they call hot stove, which that's a term I'm not familiar with at all. But apparently it's thematic. I got to do some research on old-time baseball. The spring training is resolved through cards. Regular season is where most of the action happens, and a lot of it I've already talked about. That's when you draw those cards and you match up against other teams. The postseason only happens if you actually win the most games, and you have to win the most out of all 8 teams. You have to be at the top to go to the postseason. If you are in second place or anything lower, you don't make it to postseason. So that whole step gets skipped. Then the finances step, there's a little bit of math there, and that's when the financial part of the game kicks in. And then the hot stove is like where the retirements and stuff happen. And you can also make some off-season changes. And it's also, from my understanding, a great opportunity to upgrade your stadium, which then gives you other caches and prizes and things of that nature. So that's the flow of the game. So every year you're going to go through all those steps. And you're going to do it, if you play the full campaign, you're going to do it 7 times. It's totally okay to do just 1 year. It's, I think they recommended you do at least 2 because you got to get your team going, right? Obviously, whoever you're gaming with, if you're with other people, they may not want to do all 7 years, that's fine. So from that point on, we have the cards here. So these are the superstar cards. We talked about those, and I'm saying superstar. They're just supposed to be star. When we start the game, we're going to draw these. These are franchises. So I'm going to randomly get some of these, and I think I'm going to have to look it up. I think I get more than one, and then I get to choose which one I want, and this is my setup for my franchise. So here you can see this guy has a front office with 5 stars, and then 3 and 4. That one has a 4-1-1. And so it's like, well, hold on, that looks a lot worse. And it probably is, but they get 2 media, and this guy only gets 1. He starts with $20 instead of 18. He has 2 stars. He only has 1. You see the difference. Like they make it up in other ways. This guy starts with 9 prospects. That guy only starts with 4. That's the kind of stuff. So this is going to give you a lot of variation on how you start the game. And then, you just look at it from this side, and they actually have different signatures on them. That's really cool. They actually use different signatures. So this is Elliot B. Julis, Jerry Liptak. I'm wondering if this is also somehow a Kickstarter thing. And actually, this one's Pittsburgh. I got to pay more attention. Look at this. So we got continental ones. Then we have federal ones. I didn't even realize that they were 2 different kinds. So my apologies there. I read the rules. I thought I knew this. So we got to keep these separate. So there you go. You have 2 different decks of cards. Since these are the federal ones, these are out. So I can't use those. And then here, I chose to be Pittsburgh, which I'm assuming, like right here, there's 2 Pittsburgh ones. There's Boston, Chicago, Brooklyn, St. Louis, Philly, Cincy, and New York. Boston, Chicago, 2 Brooklyn, 2 St. Louis, 2 Cincinnati, 1 Philly. So I see. So the ones that don't come, that are in the expansions only have one card. I think when you get the expansion, you get more cards for them. But anyways, so these are out. And so if I'm playing Pittsburgh, I got choices of this franchise or this one, and that's it. And we'll look into those when we set up. But here you can see those are my two choices as far as front office and things of that nature. I should have looked up which one had the 5-star front office. I'm guessing that one would be New York or something, right? So these are the two Pittsburgh Pirate franchises, and I got to decide, which one, or I'll randomly pick one. It doesn't matter, right? These cards, it's a giant stack of cards, really hard to shuffle just because of how many there are. But these are the series cards, and these cards are used, like I said, whenever you're playing against other teams, you're going to have a certain number of these dealt to you, and then throughout the season, you're going to play them, one per matchup. You get to play one card for each series. We also have these cards, which are the championship cards, and these come up when only if you won the most games in a season. And so then you're going to draw one, and you're going to go up against an opponent, and then you play a best-of-7 series. And it's literally, you're just going to roll dice, and based on your team quality, which we haven't talked about yet, but it's always represented by a number. Their team quality is 10, and if you're less than 10, which that's a 6, that's a 7, right, for Pittsburgh. Assuming that this doesn't change throughout the year, I would be less than 10, so then I would need to roll a 5 or a 6, and I got to win a best-of-7 series. So really tough to win. But if you do, then you get some cash and prizes for winning the championship. So anyways, those cards are off to the side. We have the spring training cards. There's quite a few, which is good. There's a lot of variety, and you're going to get more than one of these dealt to you, and every player would if they're playing. So this is something, I think is more interesting when you have multiplayer, because some of the cards will actually have opportunities to trade with other players, and we don't have those opportunities. We could still do the trade, it's just not going to be as fun. Then there is the hot stove thing that I was talking about. This is more end of the season, and just to and I didn't even talk about with the spring training. So what these cards are is there's a whole bunch of options, and you only get to pick one of them. So you get to do any of them. It's your choice. And you might have, I don't remember the exact number, I think you have 3 of these, and you're going to resolve all 3. So like this one, you may want to do some stadium actions. That lets you build things for your stadium, right? This one gives you 2. That one gives you 3. And this one gives you 3 as well. So then you're like, well, I definitely want to do stadium action. So one of these 2 cards I'm going to do for stadium. But then I'm looking at the 2 cards, and you can see like this one gives me 3 manager rolls. That one only gives me 2. So I'm going to do this one for the stadium and that one for the manager because I want manager rolls as well. That's the kind of decision making you get to do. And so it's very random which cards you get, but you're going to get multiple of these, and you get to pick and choose because there's a lot of choices on them. And so what's going to be interesting is how you prioritize your choices. If you have analysis paralysis, don't play this game. And then there's this thing called season bonus. And what this is something where it's like a goal for the season. And you just draw one, and right here, have the most prospects. So if you currently have or are tied for the most victory points, and you have the most prospects, so you're going to score 1 victory point. By the way, the home plate is a victory point symbol. If you're winning the game and you also won this card, you're only going to score 1 point. If you're losing the game and you won this card, you're going to get 3 points. So it's a bit of a catch-up mechanism. And here, if you're tied with somebody, you're going to get 2. Now, I did ask, well, how does this work when you're playing solo? Because these bots don't track things like how many prospects they have. And I was told that it's covered in the solo rules. I have not reviewed the solo rules yet. So we're, like I said, I read the regular rules. Now we got to, incorporate the solo rules. like I said, this game is not super complicated. It's not to say I'm not going to get something wrong, because I will. But anyways, I just wanted to show you the components of the game, and then let's finish doing the setup and get going. So the Lords of Baseball, the rule book is, that's 19, 21, 29 pages long, 30, 29. Well, here we go, page 30, right here. If you have 2 copies of the game, you can accommodate up to 16 players. And the thing is you don't even need 16 players. You can actually have just a 2-player game where, hey, I'm going against my team of 8, and you're going against your team of 8, and then we can have interconference. Like, you can do that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah, you would have to own 2 copies of the game and you don't need the 2 expansion packs unless you're going to play a full 8-player game on each side. But still, very, very cool. I do love what they try to do. Okay, so the setup is just a single page. We played plenty of games that are way worse than this. And it does have a really nice terminology section. I would have preferred it not to be buried in the rule book. I would have preferred that to be on the back with the acknowledgments. And these acknowledgments could have been on page 3 as far as I'm concerned. Like, this to me needed to be on the back of the rule book. But again, I don't get advanced copies of the game. I'm just a guy who has to complain about stuff later. And I just think the industry would be better off if they allowed me to help them. Because there's just certain things, like, because I'm an avid gamer, and there's things I want. Like Mr. Chip Theory Games. Chip Theory Games is like 10 miles down the road from where I live. And I'm telling you, all they have to do is just, I worked for pizza. I'd be more than happy to just go into their lab and help them to improve some of this stuff about their game. But anyways, I don't live as close to Mr. B, but it's one of those things where I really think that, the quality would just go up a notch if they just thought of these certain things. But there's a difference. Sometimes I'm whining about a game, and then there's times I just want it to be better. This is one of those I just want it to be better. Okay, so it goes through some terminology, which is great. It shows you the symbology, which is also great, which is also why it needs to be on the back of the book and not on page 5. But as you can see, there's that's Press Box Stadium, that's Team Quality, the baseball, et cetera, et cetera. Now, a lot of these symbols are right here on your board. So, for example, that's a symbol for bleachers, which is right here. And you can see it even has stadium in the parentheses, which I really appreciate. Like, they actually thought of some cool, of those types of things. These are the different phases of the game, which again, I really appreciate. And so if you take out the phases and you take out the stadium, there's not that many symbols. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 symbols you got to learn in this game. Not bad at all. As far as the concepts go, they do talk about the year. And a full year involved playing all phases of the game. And that's, and here you go. A game is agreed upon years, usually 3, 5, or 7. And they use the word usually, because you could just play 1 year. But that's what they recommend, is a minimum of 3, because, running a franchise has ebbs and flows over the seasons. So the stadium, each stadium has a level, and we talked about that with those chips. The prospects is how many young players are in your league. And then we have NPT, which stands for non-player team. So no, don't confuse those with the bots, which are the AI, that comes with the solo game. NPT is just, anybody that's not a player. Now, the bots and the NPT are going to have a lot in common. Series is a head-to-head competition. And then impact players is the total number of stars and regulars on a team. Because the prospects are in the minor league system. These are the ones that are actually impacting your ability to win the regular season. Okay? So, with all that out of the way, let's get to the setup. So, place the main board on the table. We're already, a significant percentage down the page. Place the year marker on the 1911 track. So the year marker, I'm assuming, are one of these two white doohickeys. I always love getting baggies, and I have like a pile of them. And for any of you who own a lot of games, I'm sure that's the same. But these little tiny ones, I despise them because, yes, they ship the game to you in those, but they're not useful for putting the game away, at least in my opinion. But anyways, we got two of these, so I'm assuming one of these goes onto the 1911. So let's do that. And then it says, place the game phase marker on the spring training phase. Okay, that's here. So the other one goes there. So boom and boom. There you have it. Choose the league you wish to play. We're playing the Continental League. And take out only those schedule cards and shuffle them and place them face down. So that's this. So what they're talking about is we have our regular season there. So I shuffle, and then I just put the cards here, and there you have it. That's a spot for them. Then it says place the NPT track, appropriate side up. That's this thing over here. For the league you wish to play, shuffle the following decks of cards: spring training, regular season, hot stove, franchise, bonus, and championship. Place them face down by the board. I have them all over here to my left, and we just talked about all those. Each player takes a set of stadium tiles and stacks them in 4 stacks. That's already done right there. Look at that. We're already halfway through the setup. Place 3 star player cards in the game in the star player pool. Star players on the franchise card are pulled from this pool. So the star player pool is here, and there's 3 per player. Now, I haven't read the solo rules yet, but I'm assuming that since I'm playing with 3 solo players, I'm going to put 12 cards there. So 3 for me, and then 9 for the 3 of them. So I just put them in a pile there like that. So just because we have this giant stack of star cards, these are the stars that are actually available at the start of the game. So there's going to be mechanics that are going to maybe remove those as they retire or add more. And I don't know, I don't remember the mechanics there, but it's all driven by the cards. Okay, so then each player draws a franchise card, places the tokens, star player cards indicated on that card on their team board. Star players are a finite resource in the game. A team cannot have more than 10. The cities and leagues on the franchise cards are for flavor only. You do not need to sort them by league or match them to your city. Okay, very interesting. Well, I'm going to do the 2 Pittsburgh ones just for my first game. But what it's saying is you don't have to. You can just pick any of them. And I think that does add for more replayability. But I'm sure the Pittsburgh one is thematic because Pittsburgh doesn't have a 5-star front office. I'm sure they still don't have a 5-star front office many years later. But anyways, that's pretty cool. And then we're going to place a disc on spaces on the board. Everybody gets 1 on the fan track, and then 0 on the VP, 0 on the win. And media loan tokens go on the side. Divide the MPT quality tokens into first year and future stacks. Now, I haven't talked about that yet, but there is in 1911, which is the first year, you have these, what's called a starter stack. Okay, and it has starter written right on it, which I very much appreciate. And then you have a whole bunch of non-starter ones, and you can see they're slightly, this is slightly more yellow. It's still greenish, and that's more army green, right? So anyways, we set all these aside. For our first year, we're going to only use these, and there should be 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's exactly 8. And so we're going to do a little bit of that, and we'll draw those. And what are they meant to do? They're meant to go on here for all the NPTs, the non-player people. Let's see. Shuffle the retirement tokens and place them face down. Determine the number of years you'll play. For your first game, we recommend a 3-year game. Okay, so coming back over to here. Gonna move the camera up a little bit. So here we go. I'm going to start from the bottom and just go up. Obviously, we don't put one for Pittsburgh because that's us. So for St. Louis, and what this is this is a TQ5, means their team quality is a 5. And remember, for Pittsburgh, we had a 6 or a 7. So that means our team quality is going to be at the start of the game better than St. Louis. And then what it's also doing is it's saying that St. Louis is going to win 78 games this year. So it doesn't matter who they play, they're just going to win 78 games. That's just predetermined. Now, we're going to figure out how many games we win because we're going to go against them in a series. And the fact that we go 11-11 with St. Louis, it just means that St. Louis won their other games some other way, right? So 11 of their wins was against us, in that situation. And then we just keep going. So for Philadelphia, it's a TQ6 with 80 wins. Then New York, TQ3 with 74 wins. Cincinnati, TQ9 with 86 wins. TQ10 with 88 wins for Chicago. TQ7 with 82 wins for Brooklyn. And then for Boston, TQ4 with 76 wins. So you can see there's a lot of variation in team quality, just like any league for any particular year. You got some teams that are really good and some teams that aren't. And just so you know, these get drawn every year. So as teams change, it represents the strength of those teams. And then just for giggles, we missed out on the TQ8. So that's the one we didn't draw because we're playing a 7-player or 7 NPT game. Theoretically, you could do all 8 of these against each other. I mean, I don't think it'd be that much fun, but anyways. So the part that I skipped is setting up our board with the franchise card, but that's it for setup, and then we're ready to play. So like I said, it's a pretty medium game. There's not a lot of like this kind of meat to it. I'm not saying that it's not going to be fun, but very simple to, I think, dive in and get going, which I do appreciate. I've been playing some heavy games lately and feeling beat up because I always get the rules wrong, and it's nice to not have something so heavy. So we do have these 2 Pittsburgh cards, and we're supposed to just draw one, and I don't remember which one was which, and I'm going to shuffle them up even more, and I'm just going to draw this one, and then we'll just put this one out of the game for now. So then I got to pick a color. My favorite color is yellow because Pittsburgh is all about the gold, and there's no yellow color. So that's very unfortunate. So who do I want to be? What color do I want to be when I grow up? I do like the blue. I do like the navy blue, which is part of the Pitt colors. In case you didn't know, I grew up in Pittsburgh. So I don't live there now, but that's where I spent most of my life. So I like a lot of things about Pittsburgh, except for maybe the politics. But beyond that, some of the people are a little jerk, but it's a great place. So front office is 3. So you just put this right on the 3. Now, one thing I want to point out is when you get to the finance phase, it's going to cost us $13 salary to pay our front office. So, and then just keep this in the back of your minds. You're going to get a base income of $80 plus other things. And those other things are going to, we'll get into them when we get into the finance phase. And in fact, that's where the player aid comes in. It's really good. So you calculate, so it says everything's on the back. So your income is you're going to get $80, $3 for every fan, $5 media spent. And this, by the way, is this is on demand. So if I have 10 media chips, I can spend them at any time to get $5. I don't have to spend them as income. And then your stadium will pay you too for tickets and concessions and things like that. So, and then you're going to have to pay, salaries. So you have to pay your front office, right? That's what we're talking about here. The star player salaries are on the back of the cards, and then $2 for every regular and $1 for every prospect. So you're going to have some expenses, and so you just want to make sure your income is higher than your expenses, right? Very basic economy stuff here, but getting back to this, Farm system is a 3. So, I'm doing this backwards. The front office is at the bottom. The farm system is at the top. But it would have been nice if this was the same order as this. And then the team manager is a 4. So team manager's in the middle here, and it's on the bottom of this. That's so confusing. Like, because if you're not paying attention to the text, you could screw that up. And that's what I was doing. So our base team quality is 7. And this is something you calculate over and over again as the season goes on. But they already pre-calculated for us, and I'll show you how that calculation works once we get everything else set up. It's saying that we get 2 media chips. So we take 2 media, and that goes here in the corner. And then it does remind you at any time you can discard one of these for $5. Now, you can use these for other purposes too, but it's really interesting. The game rules specifically tell you it's not wise to use them for those other purposes, or it's not strategic. But you can use them for other purposes. And what that would do is let you get more actions on cards. But yes, each one of these is $5. So technically I have $10 I can cash out at any time. And if we keep going, you can see that we have 1 star. So we just take one of the stars. We don't have that many here. And by the way, his salary is going to be $10, just in case you're wondering. And then we have 8 regulars. So we put the 8 here on the regulars. And then we have 8 regulars is here. That's the regulars. And you can see it's $2 each. And then we have 11 prospects, which is pretty impressive. They're $1 each. And we start the game with $22. So we put one on the 20 and one on the 2. And what am I missing? I got one more left. I don't know. Let's think about this. Or maybe they just gave me an extra in case I lose one. Oh, it's an extra over here. So, because I guess you can go into the hundreds. There you go. That's where the extra one goes. All right, that's all my cubes. So now I have 3 discs. And we got to put those somewhere. By the way, you don't need this ever again. Although I do think I need that right there for the solo game. Let me make sure. I'm going to just set it aside. But you do not need to hold your card once you get the setup done from a solo perspective. And so then we start the game with 0 victory points. And this is your start, because you can go negative victory points. And then, of course, this is the positive. We start the game with, just making sure I'm not stepping on my dog, with 1 fan. Remember, fans get you money. It's not saying that there's only 1 fan for your team. It's representing number of fans per million or whatever that watch baseball. And then the third one is that's right, the number of wins, and the wins are on the outside. So we start with 0 wins, which is right here. Now the TQ over here, we automatically know that the best team here is going to win 88 games. And so we know we got to get past 88 games if we want to go to the postseason. That's one of those things that you just know from the start, that that's your goal. And the designer, I watched his video. He had a really cool concept where he put something there to indicate, yeah, this is your goal. But of course, they don't give you that as part of the components in the game. I mean, you could use one of these opposing player ones, but now we have the solo bots. And so we're going to be using those for that purpose. But we'll see how this is going to shake out. Because these solo bots are going to be one of these other teams. I just don't know which one. Oh, in fact, I do remember this from reading the solo rules. This is going to change. The solo bots are going to change who gets what on those TQ chips. So we might have to shuffle those a little bit, but trust me, we're going to be okay. But as far as like a multiplayer game, this is how you would set it up with the game out of the box. So now we got to look at the solo rules and incorporate those pieces, and then we're good to go. So let me pause so I can sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I'll be right back. Okay, this is really simple. We can just go through this together. The setup is really, it's even shorter than the other one. So we're going to play with 3 different rivals, and it says that we choose which rivals we're going to play. We're going to play all 3, and which team they own. Okay, so as a Pittsburgher, I don't like Cincinnati, so we're going to have one of them be Cincinnati. Now, what's going to be interesting is how do I track that? Well, so I got these 3 team cards, if you will, and for the setup, they said that the starting quality tokens is written on their card, and I'm trying to see where. So, like, this is the season bonus. This is spring training, season series, hot stove, final year stadium scoring, depending on how many years you're playing. But where's the part that says, hey, at the start of the game, they start with these tiles? Because that's what it says. So you'll refer to that rival's card when determining the range of NPT tokens they'll draw from, how they'll perform in the pursuit of season bonus, and what the response to series and hot stove events will be, and how they'll do in the final year of scoring. So that's the part I get that, and it's like, well, okay, where's the NPT tokens in the table? And I just feel like I'm blind. So this is end of year, hot stove, season bonus, spring training. All the things he listed are right here. Oh, that's it. It's spring training. Draws from the worst 4 NPT quality tokens. Okay, so I got to determine, like, okay, which team are each of these. And so here's what it explains. Ed Buchanan wants to field the best team possible in order to win the pennant and ultimately the championship series. Formerly a catcher and shortstop in the Old American Association, Buchanan, Leonard, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I would normally think New York, but I am playing the probably the Mets version of New York. So we'll do Chicago, because Chicago drew the best one anyway. So Ed Buchanan will be Chicago. And so I'm going to grab the Ed Buchanan one. And I probably shouldn't be writing on it because I printed this out and I don't want to print it out again, but I'm going to write Chicago right there, just so I remember who's who. Okay, so he's Chicago, and he's going to draw from the best 4 quality tokens. So I'm going to leave him have the best, the absolute best one. And I know I was supposed to take the best 4 and have it draw from there, but we already drew randomly, and Chicago got the best one. So we're going to just let Chicago have it. Now, the other teams, I need to name them, and let's see. This one wants to make as much money as possible. And then this one wants to build a lasting legacy with his ball club and stadium. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati, because we don't like people from Cincinnati. Who day? We day. We beat day all the time day. So Cincinnati will get the Samuel Worthington team. No, Harold Sutton team. And he wants the worst 4 NPT quality tokens. And that sounds so Cincinnati to me. So Cincinnati has, I'm looking, they have 86 wins. They have one of the best. So we do have to change the Cincinnati one. And so one of the worst 4 would be at 74, 78, 76. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the worst 4. And I'm going to use dice to figure out. I don't want to mess with them too much. I'm just going to swap whatever Cincinnati has with whatever we roll. And I happen to have my Elder Scrolls right here next to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll re-roll in 5 and 6. So they're going to get number 4 here. So Cincinnati's just going to swap with Boston like that. All right, and then the last one, what's the lasting legacy? So that's going to be Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Dodgers, which I do feel bad that they don't exist anymore, but we're going to make it Brooklyn. And so they get Ed Samuel Worthington. And Samuel Worthington says they're going to draw from the 4 middle tokens. And what's funny is, for the lasting legacy, I was going to pick St. Louis, because isn't that where, I don't know, where's Pete Rose from? Was he a Red, Cincinnati Red, or was he a St. Louis Cardinal? See, I don't know my baseball that well. I know football really well, but not baseball. Anyways, I was going to pick whoever had Pete Rose, because, you know, they definitely have a lasting legacy, just not the kind that they wanted. So anyways, we chose Brooklyn because I just really like the idea of Brooklyn having a team. And they get the middle 4. So Brooklyn has an 82, which is one of the middle 4. So we don't have to change it at all. And you can see that right there. Middle 4, in this case, with 7 of them being there, is, you know, you take off the top and you take off the bottom, that leaves 5. And then you just have to take off either another top or another bottom, I guess. But anyways, I'm happy with it the way it is. And so that part is done. And next we have to do, so here you can see like the flavor text covers most of the setup. We're going to place a disc of the rival color on the 0 space, so they're going to score VP. And we're going to start with 4 players in the pool if playing against 1 rival. Add 1 star player for each additional rival. Oh, okay. So I was supposed to do 3 for me and then 1 for each rival. So I have 1 in my team, and this is my 3. And then I'm going to play 1, 2, 3 rivals. So all these are out. So it's not like a multiplayer game, and that's fine. That was easy. And guess what? We're done. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into the spring training here, which is the first stage. Draw the 7 tokens for all of this year's components, including your rival. Order them from highest to lowest. And draw a TQ token for your rival's team with the range given, which is what we did. So I didn't do it as cleanly as they're suggesting here, and from now on I got to remember to do it this way. But that's what we did. We took care of that. Place that next to your rival's city on the tracker board and distribute the rest of the cities in any order. If playing against multiple rivals, draw Buchanan's TQ token before Worthington's, before Sutton's. And yeah, that makes sense. So no problem there. And then it's already getting into how it works for regular season. So there's nothing else we need to do. So now for the spring training, we just play the regular rules as if it was multiplayer, except there's no other players to interact with. And then we're going to get into the regular season, and there's going to be some potential rules there as well. So jumping in, they only have a token here. It goes on the start. And then we have a green token. And a black token for all 4 players. Okay, so I'm realizing the next problem. I have 3 rivals, but I don't have, you know, what color they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another disc from each one. So we're going to get our black disc. A red disc. And a green one. Okay, so I'm going to put them over on the teams over here so we know which one's which. So Cincinnati Reds is going to get the red. So we're just going to put that there just to indicate that's a player, right? And it's the red player, Cincinnati. Then for Brooklyn, we're going to put green. And for Chicago, we're going to put black. So I guess I didn't realize they were all right next to each other, but that's what we're going to do. Now, what we could also do is show how many wins they're going to get and put that on the board as well. I mean, that would be cool, I guess, but we don't have to, and I won't at the moment. But I reserve the right to do that if I need to. And so setup is done. And in fact, we've already done the spring training portion for the bots. So we're going to jump in and do spring training for ourselves. And I don't know if we're going to play a full year in this video, but we've already started playing, technically. So let's keep going. Okay, so let's dive in and follow what they have to say. This is right where I want to put the camera. So I'm going to just move this over to the side a bit. So I have room for the camera to be more, centered when I want to look at the board. Also, I need a place to put the rule book. I also wanted to point out that they do have, for the solo rules, a player aid. And it just tells you, for spring training, draw your TQ tokens. And so everything you need to know is there. For us, what do we do, given our rule book? Well, let's test the player aid out. Draw one bonus card for the season. That sounds right. I do remember that. So we shuffle a little. Oh, they're not shuffling very well. They actually feel really nice, even though they're not shuffling very well. All right. I'm so used to the chip theory ones where they all just want to slide out of my hand. They have like no friction whatsoever. Okay, so our card is have the most total stadium levels. Okay, so when we get into stuff like this, the NPTs don't matter. All that matters is our rivals. And so this is card number 14. See that on the bottom? So we come over here, and actually it tells you here. So we need the most total stadium levels. So stadium levels is turn number times 4. And I'm pretty sure turn number is like what year they mean. So it's going to be 4 for this guy. And then each one of them has a different level. Like this one is turn number times 3. And this is turn number times 2. So now remember, you're not necessarily playing all 3 rivals at once. And so each one has different focuses. So what does that mean? I mean, first of all, the turn number, I'm pretty sure, is the year. I can always look that up. So bonus as per season bonus section. But if you max out the category, then you earn the bonus automatically. So that's what it says for the bonus. And the only thing that's goofy is the turn number, which I'm assuming, again, is the year. Which I don't understand why they don't just say that. But anyways, so, it's turn 1 through turn 7, right? Anyways, getting back to this. So that's what we have to do to win the card. In the original game, without the solo rules, you automatically won this. It wasn't really much of a thing. Now, in a multiplayer game, this can get pretty competitive, and based on where you are in your victory points, this is how many you get. And that's still true. You compare your victory points to theirs, and if you're behind them, you get to catch up. If you're ahead of them, you only get a little bit. So anyways, that's our card. So that's easy peasy. We just draw it, and we just need to have stadium levels. All players draw spring training cards based on our farm system, which is a minimum of 3 cards. And then we can spend 1 or 2 media points to get up to 5. Now, I was a little confused at first because it was like, okay, why would I want 5 cards? And I think it's because, so we're going to get to play all 3 of these cards. See, it says play all of them. So if you get 2 more, you get to have 2 more actions. But the game stresses that this is not a good use for strategic use for spending your media, but you can do it. I mean, it's in the rules. And then your team quality may adjust because of what we're doing. So with that said, let's just jump right in. Remember, we're done with the bots. They don't do anything for spring training except for get their TQs. And then this is just us. So we look at our farm system and get as many cards as that, and then we can choose to spend our media if we'd like. So our farm system is right here at the top, and it's a 3. So we're going to get 3 cards. If we had a farm system of 5, we get 5 cards. We don't need to do any media, anything. So it does say minimum of 3 cards. So if you had a farm system lower than 3, you still get 3. So that's an interesting situation there. But so let me find the right spring training cards. I did already shuffle these, so let's grab 1, 2, 3. I have to decide before I look at them if I'm going to spend the media cards or tokens. And I'm going to follow their advice and not do it for the first year. I sort of feel like I need to. I don't feel like I'm short on money as much as I feel like I'm short on building my team. And spring training is how you get them better, right? Anyways, let's just play. I don't have too much stake in this yet. So we have our 3 spring training cards, and we can play them in any order, but we play all 3. And you can see that there's a lot of things that can happen, but they're all the same categories. It's just what you get to do is different. So let's go through the categories first. So fans is you can add a fan, or there's no fan increase at all available. And this one adds 2 fans, okay? Then there's the sign. We can pay $1 to get 2 prospects. We can pay $3 to get 4 prospects, or pay $2 to get 2. So that's all about getting prospects. We can trade, and this is something you can trade with other players. You can trade a star for 2 regulars, but see that symbol there? That means you can also trade 2 regulars for a star. This is bi-directional. See that's an arrow, meaning you must pay this. You can't give up 4 prospects to get $3. But this one, you can give up 2 regulars to get a star. This one, 3 prospects and $1 get you a star. And this one, 2 prospects and $3 get you a star. And then call up, you can see nothing for upgrade or call up. Upgrade and call up, nothing. This one, prospect can become a regular. And then the upgrade would let a regular become a star. And you can see here that none of our regulars can become stars. We have no upgrades. I'm just going to, for fun, I'm grabbing the middle of the deck here. There you go. See, regular becomes a star. So, okay, so it's that simple. We're just going to do 1, 2, 3. I pick 3 things, and that's how I upgrade my team, and then spring training's over. Very straightforward game. In a multiplayer, everybody does this simultaneously. I mean, you could force turn order if it really mattered, but this is really meant to be simultaneous and super fast. So, and this is why I felt like this was a medium weight game. There's some meaty decisions to be made. So, for example, this one, I'm going to take this one for 2 fans. So I'm going to put that one up. I want to do that one for 2 fans. And so now I got to decide, what am I going to do with these 2? I can turn a prospect into a regular, and I can pay $1 for 2 prospects. And so I'm going to do exactly that. So I'm going to spend $1 for 2 prospects, puts me up to 13. And then I'm going to go down 1 prospect to move up 1 regular to 9. Okay. And then I'm going to add 2 fans. So that goes up to 3. Now, I'm done with the spring training. The only thing I got to do is I have to recalculate my team quality. And I told you that during setup we would calculate team quality. So team quality is like so. The star is, I believe, 1. This here is based on your regular. So I was at 8, so that's 2 for 3. And your team manager is up to 5, so that's 4 for 7. So 4 from the team manager, 5, 6, because I was only here. And then this is 7, and guess what? I'm at 7. But because I moved my regular from 8 to 9, I moved from the row 2 to row 3, and that's the baseball symbol. So that means my team quality went up to 8. I improved my team quality for increasing my regular by 1. Now, the prospects. Those don't improve your team quality. Here you can see the home plate. Those are points. So right now, with me being here, I'm going to score 2 points. 1, 2. The number in it is just the number of prospects you have. It's not reflective of how many points you get. If I somehow got prospects to 20 here, I'm going to score 4 points. And it's whenever, I think it's right after the financial phase or whatever. Whenever you score the victory points. We don't do that yet. So the prospects can go up or down between now and then. So anyways, I went up 2 on the prospects and down 1. And I gained a regular. We didn't get ourselves a star, which a star by himself increases team quality by 1. So, but they're expensive, and so I didn't know. And right now, you know, the Pittsburgh team is riding on 1 star, so let's just see how that works. So there you go. That's the entire spring training. So what's next? Regular season. So here it says, draw 7 cards. 1 media may be spent for an extra card. Why do you draw 7 cards? Because we're going to play 7 teams. That's as simple as that. So these are already shuffled. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, right? I can choose to get an 8th card. Why would I choose to get an 8th card? Well, if you go to the postseason, you don't get extra cards. So if you buy an extra card now, you're basically saying, hey, I think I'm going to go to the postseason. And then you can use that card to help you in the postseason. So you got to be really cocky and plan for the postseason. You can always play the postseason without a card. That's not an issue. But the time to buy the card is now, and it costs you a media point. Like, I actually think that spending the 2 media points for 2 extra spring training actions might actually not be as bad as the rules say. But to do an extra one of these cards, well, the other advantage is that you're going to play 1 card per matchup. And even if you don't make it to the postseason, if there's one particular card in here you don't like, you now have an extra card so you can avoid it. That's true too. All right, so let's look at the player aid for the solo game with the regular season. It says, mark rivals wins on boards. Use the NPT token value. For series event card, used versus rival, he gets VP listed next to that card's ID. That's what he's saying. There's a number on these cards, and that's going to be used on his card. Must use secondary function on any series event card if it includes NPT. And rival +1 VP if you don't get more season wins than he has. And +1 VP if he wins the season series against your team. So I think that's pretty cool little mechanics there. So what's the gist? Well, we're going to draw regular season cards, and then we're going to play against the NPT teams. And we get to see these now because I'm choosing not to buy any more. So what they're trying to say is when you're playing against an NPT team, you only get to do the bottom part. You don't get to do the top part. And that is, I believe, if we're playing against the bots. And that's the part I gotta verify now. Because that player aid was helpful, but it makes it so half those cards wouldn't be useful if it applied all the time. So let's get into it. So it says place a disc of your rival's color on the win track. So hopefully we don't need the third disc because I just used it to, I guess I could use cubes. So for example, Cincinnati is going to get 76 wins. So I'm going to put that here. And just set this off to the side. And then we have Brooklyn, which is green. And they're going to get 82 wins. And then Chicago is going to get 88. Then it says, if your rival wins the series against your team, your rival will gain a victory point. So when your team plays a series against your rival's team, look at the ID card number on the lower right corner of your series card you're playing. Find that number on the season series list on the rival card. Your rival will score the number of VPs listed when you play that series cards against him. Always use the secondary function on a series event card if it includes the term MPT. Oh, okay. That's the clarification I was looking for. So if the series event card has the term MPT, you have to do the secondary function. If the card refers to either of you, it only applies to you. That is true. And then there's some difficulty levels here where it's saying that after you resolve the event card, draw another one from the deck and then just apply it a number of times. So basically, he's going to get some free victory points handed to him. But if you think that it's too easy, then you can start drawing an extra card each time, or 2 extra cards or 3 extra cards. So that makes sense. All of it makes sense. And then getting to the rule book now, like what is it that we're supposed to do if it's a regular multiplayer game? My understanding is we're going to draw those cards. We're going to find out what team we're up against. I'm going to play one of these, and then we're going to have a TQ comparison. So let's say I'm right now at 8 TQ. If he's also at 8, then we're dead even. Let's say he was at 7, then I'm at a +1. And then we're each going to roll a die. And so I have these dice here. If I could get the bag open. So we're going to each roll a die. And so if, let's say I'm white, I add 3 to my TQ, he adds 3 to his, and then whoever's ahead, we then look at our chart here. So if I was at a +1, then I'm going to win 12 games and he wins 10. And that's for multiplayer. Since it's against an MPT, I just do me. I get 12 wins. If he's +1 against me, then I get the 10 wins. It's that simple. This is just the margin of difference, this here. So very simple game. It's, like I said, medium, because there's some good meaty decisions, but it's not, groundbreakingly difficult to understand. Okay, so during the regular season, let's see. Yep, we draw a schedule card. If the opponent is an MPT, only the player involved plays a card for the series. There's no need for secrecy. And you just play it face up. Then we roll the dice, and we do the records. And it's got a whole page talking about the records, which, I appreciate it, but it wasn't that hard. And yeah, it's as simple as that. I love this. This is so easygoing. All right, so first thing we do, we draw, and we don't care about anybody else. It's Pittsburgh versus Brooklyn, which is one of the rivals. And then we get to pick one of these. And I don't know if any of them say NPT. They don't. All right, so this one, for example, gain 1 fan for each concession section in your stadium. And this is our stadium right here. And right now we have a level 1 concession. And then these are a spot where I could build either a concession or a bleacher, but there's nothing there yet. And then this, I can build any of the 3. That's a press box, a field, and bleachers, right? So I can have a press box or bleachers here, any of the 3 there. Bleachers or concessions here and here and here. The field is, of course, just one field, and the press box is just one press box. Well, you could theoretically have two. All right, does that make sense? So this is saying one fan for each concession section in your stadium. Right now I only have one. So that would just give me one fan. And if I can figure out a way to improve this, and how would I do that? Well, you got this stack of chips here. And this is a little bit of like a, if you remember the game Brass, when you do a stadium action, you can actually choose as one of your actions, instead of building it, you can discard it. So that way you get the next higher level available. So you're never going to actually play this. This just gets thrown out of the game. And then you're digging, you can actually discard all of these and go straight to level 8 if that's what you want. And then you can go from level 1 straight to level 8. But you got to do 7 actions to get all these discarded. You don't have to build every level to get to 8. And so what does it cost to build? Well, this is, of course, the level. That's the build cost, $10. And then that's the financial revenue. And you can see that a level 2 versus a level 1 is no different. They're both the same. But what you could do, though, is you could build that level 2 down here like this. Now you have the level 1 and the level 2, and now you're getting $10. That's what you want to do. You don't necessarily want to overwrite the original one, at least not right away. But yeah, and then you can see level 3, not much different. Level 4, starting to get more expensive, but now you have a finance phase where you get $3 per bleacher. That's income. And then you can see it just gets a little better. Now it's more expensive to build, but you get more money per bleacher. Then here you're getting points for every 3 bleachers. And then you're getting, at the end game, you're getting points for every 2 bleachers. And then that one's points per bleacher. So the concessions really tie with the bleachers, and that makes sense because concessions are for the people, right? So that's what all that means. All right, so one fan for each concession. Right now, that would be just one. This does not help me with my series. It's just a bonus I can get. And that's the thing, is like, for this particular series, I'm up against, who again? Brooklyn, who has a TQ of 7. I have a TQ of 8. So if I'm really confident that my +1 is going to, my dice roll is going to go in my favor, I can do this and, take my chances. Okay, let's keep going. This one, I can choose to gain a prospect or lose one. Roll 2 dice and add your farm system value, which is a 3. If the total is, you can see in these levels, I can gain a regular or a star, or I may just lose a prospect and get nothing. Because right now I'm adding a 3 to my roll. I need a minimum of an 8. So that means I got to roll a 5 or better. It is 2 dice. So, rolling a 5 with 2 dice is, it's not that bad. It's greater than 50% that I would get a regular. But anyways, that's some of the choices you get to make. And again, this is just helping your team. This one, take the following number of stadium actions immediately. And it's based on my front office level, which is a 3. So since I'm a 3, I can do 2 stadium actions, which means I can build 2 concessions. And if I build 2 concessions, I can now gain 3 fans. You see how they link? Here, gain a fan. Gain an additional fan if you have a level 2 or higher bleacher tile. So now it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't need to build 3 concessions. Now I can also build a bleacher, because the bleacher, of course, helps my concessions, first of all. And secondly, that still gets me another fan. So, or I could just say bullocks to the whole thing and just gain a fan. If you have any stars on your team, add 1 extra TQ per star for this series only. And then roll an extra resolution die. Now, when you roll an extra die, it does not mean that you get to add both of them. You just get to pick which one you want to use, which is usually going to be the better one. Draw 1 spring training card and execute the trade if desired. So only the trade on the card. Both you and your series opponent may immediately take 1 stadium action to either upgrade or innovate your stadium. Innovate's the word where you're discarding a chip. It's called innovate. If either of you don't upgrade, that player loses 1 victory point. That's an interesting one. Play in front of you and keep until the retirement draw. When you would choose a retirement token, choose it and discard it for no effect. If you take 2, discard 1 of your choice. Okay, that's what we got. So, one last thing. Because we're playing against Brooklyn, which is one of the players, that number right there means something. And Brooklyn is Sam Worthington. So right here you can see that the number 1 is going to cause him to lose a victory point. Now if I chose to play like this one, number 13, he's going to gain a victory point. The only one that actually helps me is this one. It gives me extra oomph to beat him, right? That's 35. And 35 gives him no victory points. All these other ones are helping me to build my stadium and giving me fans, but they're not really helping me with the actual series. And that's the luck of the draw. This is where the game gets very tactical. And I guess some people have even complained about it because you don't have control. Like if you really wanted to go win it all, right? You want to win the pennant. These cards are not helping you to do that. But you know what? You could have just spent some media tokens to get another card. So maybe then you could have had maybe another chance. I don't know. I think what I find cool about the game is, yeah, you do have to adapt a little bit. Like if I wanted to win the World Series, these cards are not helping me do it. So now I'm going to be based on relying on my dice to win. But you know what? I could have bought another star. There's things you can do to make your TQ go up. And you can do some things here that will help your TQ to go up, like the prospect stuff. You can gain a regular or a star. Your TQ goes up if you get a star, although getting a 12 is hard to do. Okay, so what am I going to do against this guy? And I'm wondering if I should do the retirement one. Where is it? This will force him to take a -1 to his victory points. And then when I choose a retirement token, I get to choose it and then discard it for no effect. So, because remember, those are usually bad. So I'm going to do that, and I will just place the card here because it comes into effect later. And he gets -1 victory point. And so Brooklyn is green. So we're going to put him at -1. And then we have to actually roll our dice and figure out all that stuff. And I want to read one more time because I don't see the word NPT anywhere. So I'm wondering if there's text down here, does it mean I have to do that instead of that? That's the part I don't know. So let me check. Always use the secondary function on a series event card if it includes the term NPT. It doesn't. Now it makes me wonder, what's an example of one that does? So please forgive me. Is there any event card that says NPT on it? And it's only going to, like if the bottom is blank, you can just skip it. Right here. There it is. If it gets an NPT right there. So I can't do the top. Okay. I'm satisfied now. I feel like I understand the rule. I'm not misunderstanding anything. And oh, by the way, there was nothing tied to this, so we can get rid of our franchise card. Sorry, I'm just trying to be organized here. Okay, so we gave him his -1. We have a +1 against him. So we're going to go ahead and roll. I don't need this anymore. I'm always white, by the way. And there we go. So now I am at +2 more. So I have a +3. So I won 13 games to his 9. And so I just go up here and I go 10, 11, 12, 13. He doesn't move. He's already won. We know how many games he's winning for the season. All right. I know that took a long time, but the game isn't really this long. We spent a lot of time on analysis paralysis with that. So now we go to the next one, and we just go through all 7. So here it's Pittsburgh versus St. Louis. Now, St. Louis has a TQ of 5, and this is not against a rival, so I don't have to worry about that. So this might be a great opportunity to do some stadium improvements. So I think I'm going to do this one right here. We have a front office of 3 that lets us do 2 stadium actions. So I'm going to do that one. And this, of course, gets discarded. Now, I keep moving the stadium way off to the side. As I start to get chips on it, it's going to be harder to pull it in for the camera like this. So I do have to come up with a better solution here. I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to move these tokens out of the way. I'm going to move it more over here, so that way I just have to move the camera over. Like that. Okay. So we looked real deep into the concessions. So you can see that there's a tie. Like if we build concessions, at the deeper levels of it at least, it's based on bleachers. Now the one thing that jumped out to me is that if I want to maximize my bleacher income, I'm building concessions over bleachers. So you got to balance it. So then I could go up here and build a bleacher instead of a press box. So then I'm curious, okay, well, why would I want a press box? So we got to figure that out. And then here, it could be anything. So I could jam in 2 extra bleachers there. It just depends. So let's look at the bleachers first, since we're talking about them. So here you can see straight up revenue, right? You get money just for having bleachers as well, and that's ticket sales, right? Spring training, this bleacher gives you an extra fan. That's a nice one to get early, right? Here, and then level 5, you don't get a fan anymore. I guess, you upset them. This one, spring training, gets you a fan. That one, you score a point. And then 1 point for every 4 fans. Okay, so bleachers are pretty cool. Nice way to maybe score some points. Let's look at the press box now and figure out, why would I want a press box? So this one gives me, what's that money symbol? I know that gives me a media token, but what's that money symbol? Page 5. Or maybe it's trying to say that during the finance phase. Yep, income phase. So during the income phase, you're going to get a media token, is what that's saying. All right, so then this one gives you a media token. 2 media tokens. I'm starting to get where this is going. 2 more. This one, you lose 2 media tokens, but you gain a point. So spend 2 for a point during the scoring phase. And you don't get any media tokens anymore. 1 media token gets you a point. And that one straight up gives you 5 victory points at the end of the game. So I can understand now, because you maybe want one of these to give you media tokens, right? And then you want one of these to give you points for spending media tokens. So you want 2 of them. One, so you got an income that's paying for itself. Or you just straight up go here and you're getting 3 media tokens and 5 points. Which again, you could have those 2 working together side by side here, but you're giving up a bleacher to do that. There's some interesting choices, and I don't know what the right ones are. And then the field itself, that's the middle piece. It can only be upgraded here. If you go to level 2, you get a team quality boost of 1. And then this one, you're rolling dice for a player? That's an interesting one. So that says the regular season phase, you roll dice. But what are you getting when you roll the dice? Of course, it doesn't say. Oh, here we go. No. Okay, I got it. It's on the very last page, 29. It's actually really cool. What this is saying is that when you resolve your series, you always get to roll an extra die and then take the better of the two. So you get to roll 2 dice. That's really going to help you win games, isn't it? This one, team quality and roll dice. 2 team quality roll dice. 2 team quality, you score for every 10 impact players you have. 3 team quality, score for every 2 star players at the end of the game. Or just straight up 5. Now, here's the tricky part. You're giving up your dice rolling if you level it up too much. And I think that dice rolling can be really powerful. Obviously, if you roll 2 1s, it's not very powerful, but there's some interesting mechanics there as well, because there's opportunities to score points, and you only have 1 place to build a field. This one, you could build all 3 or one of any 3 things, but the field is not there. So you can only ever have 1 token out there at a time, and you got to pick what it's going to be. That's very, very interesting. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to build a concession. I'm going to build a level 2 right there because we know that's going to help us. So that's going to cost me $10. So I'm going to go from 20 down to 10, and then we're done. Now we get to do another action. I am contemplating upgrading my field to level 2 because if I do, our team quality goes up by 1. The press box, by the way, is... we can buy up to 3 of these for $5 each, which they give you $5 when you spend them, so that's not really much of a deal. The press box would cost us $20, which we technically don't have, although I can spend media tokens to get them. I'm tempted to build a bleacher just to try to balance the game a little bit. Because I don't know which way I want to go. I definitely am not at the point where I want to brass this and do an innovate where, so if I do an innovate, basically this turns over and now the level 4 is available, right? And so I don't have to actually pay for and build the level 3. I mean, I get it. I just don't know if I'm ready to be that advanced yet. I'm just going to build a level 2 bleacher. That's also $10. And we're just going to keep a balanced approach, right? We got a concession and we got a second bleacher. So that's $10 more. And there we go. We're done with our 2 actions. And now we are against St. Louis, who has a TQ of 5. We have a TQ of 8. We're at +3. And then this is 2 more for +5. And with a 5, I won 14 games. One, two, three, 4. So I'm at 17, 27. All right, next one. Pittsburgh is against Cincinnati, who has a TQ of 4. Very low TQ. We're at 8. We're at double. I need to move these out of the way. Okay, so what are we going to do against Cincinnati? Remember, this is a rival, so this is going to matter. Um, I'm going to do gain 1 fan for each concession in your stadium. Yeah, we'll do that. So I'm going to gain 2 fans. It's a 98. Let me make sure it's not going to give him a boatload of points. So Cincinnati is Mr. Harold Sutton. And a 98 gives him 2 points. So yeah, we don't want to do that one. So I'm going to move him back down 2. We're at 3 fans still. Let's do a different one. We don't want to give 2 points. We can use this when we play against somebody else. Well, here you go. Both you and your series opponent may immediately take 1 stadium action. That's an 80. 80 for him is 1 victory point. There are a few zeros in here. Let's see, 13 is a 0. So if I want to do this one, I'll do this one. That gives him 0 victory points. It's a gain 1 prospect, or we do the gambling thing. I don't really want to lose a prospect. I mean, I can afford to lose one. The thing is this is what would really be nice, but I just don't think I'm going to pull that off. If anything, I'm just going to be begging to get this. So like I said, I got to just get a 5 or better to get a regular. I'm just going to gain a prospect. And that gives him 0 victory points. So our prospect goes up to 13. And like I said, we're double him. We have 8, he has 4. He got 4 more, so we tied. Or no, yeah. So we're at 8, he's at 4. He went to 9 and I went to 9. We're tied. So that means we split the series 11-11. And he doesn't get any victory points for that. So 1 is 2 before 30 and 2 before 40. Oh boy. Okay. That's how the dice work, right? They just went in a streak and we had a bad luck. I mean, it works that way in the real world too, where you don't always beat the teams you were supposed to beat. So there you have it. He scored 0 points, but we at least did that. I'm going to look at the player aid one last time because it's only if he wins the series he gains a victory point. So the tie doesn't matter. Okay, that's all I wanted to verify. All right, so now we move on to the next card. Pittsburgh and Boston. So now we're against the one of the NPTs that doesn't score victory points. So now we're going to do the 1 fan for each concession, so we can squeeze this guy out without having to give away victory points. So now we're up to 5. Okay, Boston has a TQ of 9. We're losing this one. Nothing I can do except roll really well. There we go. So he's at 10 and I'm at 12. So we're at a +2. So we get 12 more wins. So 1, 2 puts us to 40, and then 10 more to 50. All right, next one. Pittsburgh against Philadelphia. So we have some high numbers here. That one gives away victory points. So does this one. So we're going to do this one to get another high number out of the way. Gain 1 fan, gain an additional fan if you have a level 2 or higher bleacher tile in your stadium. And we do have a level 2 bleacher, so we're going to get 2 more fans. So we're up to 7 fans now. All right, so We're against Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a TQ of 6. We're at 8, so we're at a +2. And then that's 4 more, so +6. Ooh, that gives us 14 wins. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like so. All right, let's keep going. Very quick. Pittsburgh against New York. New York is the last of the teams that doesn't score victory points. So I'm looking real quick because we're going to be up against Chicago next. Chicago will score 1 victory point if I play my 35. And if I play my 80, he will score 0. Now this is an interesting one. I can play this one, which gives me an extra TQ against Chicago, and roll an extra die to help me win, but he'll score a victory point if I do that. Or I can play this one, which will help me do a stadium thing, but it's not helping me with my TQ. So I'm looking at the New York TQ. The New York TQ is a 3. I do not need the extra TQ against New York. So I am going to do the stadium one and just give him the victory point so I can win the game. So it says your series opponent may immediately take 1 stadium action to upgrade or innovate. Now, if you innovate, it doesn't cost you anything. It just costs you the action. I am currently on $1. I have $10 here that I can spend if I want to upgrade something. And like I can upgrade the field, for example, which only costs $10, right? And then I have a team quality of 1. Or I can just innovate and just basically say, okay, I'm going to flip one of these over because, like, for example, the press box here gives me 1 media token, but so does the level 3 press box. So, you know, the level 2 and the level 3 really don't, to build both of those doesn't do me any good. And then it saves me the money to flip this over because I don't have any money right now. It would be nice to build the press box, but I can't. It costs $20. I just don't have $20. All I have is 10. I can build another concession, another bleacher, and a field. Those are my 3 choices. Or I innovate something and just flip it over. I think they're all great ideas. I just don't know, like, the thing in my strategy head is I'm not formulating, like, which one's the best thing to do for now. And is this one of those games where if I try to do a little bit of everything, I'm not going to win? Am I even going for wins? I only have 1 star. I have a lot of prospects. And I think one of these actually helps me with prospects. Was it the... Nope, that's the media tiles. This is bleachers. Maybe not. How badly do I need to spend this $10? I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend $10. We're going to put a level 2 field out. And that means I have to spend my only media tokens I have. So that was $10. So $5 each. Anytime. So we got $10 for that. So I don't have to adjust my money. I only had $1 here. But it does increase my team quality to 9. And so now we're going to roll against New York. They had a team quality of 3, but they rolled better than me. So 3 plus 3 is 6 for them. I'm at 9, though, and that's a 10. So that puts me at a 4. I get 13 more wins. So 1, 2, 3, I'm 2 ahead of 65 and 2 ahead of 75. So I just passed red for the season, which is Cincinnati. And then last but not least, I'm going to go up against Chicago here. And that's our last of our cards. And I'm going to play this one. If you have any stars on your team, add 1 extra TQ, and I get to roll an extra resolution die. So Chicago has a TQ of 10. I have a TQ of 9, so I'm at -1. Or he's at +1, however you want to look at it. He rolled a 3, and then this is a 6, and I'm going to take that over the 5. So I was at -1. This is a +3, so I'm at a +2 against Chicago. I'm pretty happy with that. So a +2 gives me 12 wins. So I'm at 77, 79, 89. I'm literally 1 win ahead of Chicago. So I actually won the season. That's by 1 win. And it was because of this card. Because if I would have rolled that 5, that would have not have done the trick. So it was close. I mean, it's not. Anyways, he gets a victory point for that. And Chicago is the black one, so he gets 1 victory point. All right, so now we move into postseason. I don't remember what the rewards were for postseason. We can look at it here. We're going to draw a championship card, play a possible 8th card if taken, roll for result, but then it doesn't say like what happens. So that's a fail. I don't think the AI does anything for postseason. I'm looking real quick. Nope. Because they're not really involved at all. I'm just going to check the rule book real quick. I do think you score points. Oh, by the way, if there was a tie with the number of wins, I would win. The player always wins ties. If a player wins a pennant, draw a championship series card, compete with the team on the card, compare the quality values, do a best of 7. The first team to win 4 games wins the series. If you win, retain that champion series card until the end of the game. It may be required for a tiebreaker. All players discard any regular season cards. So it doesn't really do much, except it's an end game thing, which I can look up, like, what did I get at the end game for that, but that's an actual, oh, here we go. Victory points. If you win the championship, you're going to get 1. Right there. All right, so where's the championship cards? Here we go. I don't know if I shuffled these, so let me just shuffle real quick. TQ of 14. I only have 9, so I'm clearly less. I only win on a 5 or a 6. And it's just me rolling. So it's a best of 7 series. So you got to play a minimum of 4 games, right? So here's my 4 dice. This is a win for me, and this is 3 wins for him, right? So it's a 1 to 3 series. He's going to roll again. Oh, I just got another win. Now it's 2 to 3. And we're on game 6. And there it is. I lost. So I don't win the series, and we go home. But that was actually pretty dramatic. For rolling dice and being cheesy, I can dig that, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just so burned out from the complicated games. Sometimes you want to just be that guard that waves at people as they drive into the parking lot. I know it's not a high-paying job, but sometimes it's all I want to do. So seems so not stressful. Okay, now we're on the finances section. So again, we have some finances stuff that we need to do. And then so let's look at their rules first. Your rival scores victory points for season wins and for winning the championship series the same way you do. Your rival scores VPs for their prospects and other assets equal to the current number. Fan adjustments. If your rival has the fewest VPs, they gain one. Okay. For their prospects and other assets equal to the current turn number. That turn number thing is just so... I'm assuming it's the year. Okay, so, well, I can do the turn number real quick. 1, 1, and 1, right? It's turn 1 for all three of them. So let's do finances. Calculate income on back, pay expenses, score victory points, adjust fans. So that's how we calculate team quality. Income formula. We're going to get $80 plus $3 for every fan. And we have 7 fans. So that's 21. Well, here. $80. And then 21 puts us to 100. And then we have $5 if we want to spend media, and then stadium rewards. So here I have $10 and $10 for 20. So I get 20 more. Okay, and then expenses. Star player salaries. So if we look on the back, we have 1 star, so we're going to pay $10. So now we go down 10. Then $2 for every regular. We have 9, so that's 18. So 10, 11, 12. $13, $14, $15, $16, $17, $18. Okay, then $1 for every prospect, which is 13. So 10, 11, 12, 13. And then money for our farm front office, basically. So this guy is 13. This one is 7 for 20, and this is 10 for 30. So we lose 30 more. 10, 20, 30. We ended up with $50. We were at $1. So we made $50 for the year, and I think that's good because now we get some breathing room. We can spend some money on stuff. And it makes me feel better that I spent the media. We don't gain any media as income yet because of the thing, but we keep going. And then we're going to do victory points, which I think we do every time. So we get 1 if we win a championship, which we didn't. We're going to get based on the wins below, but so are they. And then we're going to invest, which is here. And then 1 for every 5 prospects, which we gave them 1 point for that already. So we'll start at the bottom. We'll do the 5 prospects. So I have 2, so I get 2 victory points for that. And then let's do the wins. So I had 89 wins, which gives me 5 victory points. And then Chicago had 88, which also gives them 5. So we both get 5. We're both tied right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the Reds had 76 and Brooklyn had 82. So at 82 wins, he's going to get 4, and at 76, he's going to get 3. So 4, and then 1, 2, 3. That's where the points stand with that. And then I can invest. So in season 1, if I'm willing to spend $30, I get 1 victory point. That's a lot of money. That puts me down to $20, which is right at where I started the last season. Oh, man. And there's a part of me that's like, well, I mean, $20 is not a lot because we made a lot of stadium upgrades. They're expensive. And it's all this for 1 victory point. Ooh, 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 ooh. I know they're hard to get. I mean, we spent a whole year and we only got 7. So 1 victory point is a significant percentage. And it says if your rival has the fewest victory points, they gain 1 VP. Nobody has the fewest. They're tied for the fewest. So I'm going to assume that or they both gain a victory point. I don't know if that's fair. Yeah, I think it is. It does say that if the rules are ambiguous, always go in favor of the rival. So they're both tied for the least, so they both go up 1. And it's just a catch-up mechanism. So, I mean, there's a lot of free points going around to these guys. I think for $30, it's not worth it because I can upgrade my stadium with that $30 and score more points and more money that way. I think that's a better move than doing this. So I'm going to leave that be, even though I'm still second guessing myself on that. Okay, I'm glad I checked on some of the rules here. So there's one thing that's not mentioned on the player aid. Big fail for the player aid is, well, it does say adjust fans and it's written on the board. So there's some things, though, that aren't written on the board, and that's what has me bothered. So let me show you. So what the board is saying is you check where you're at. So right here is the diamond. The diamond means that the fans don't move up or down. If we were down here in this lower zone, we automatically get a bump of 1. Okay? And if we're up here where the arrows are pointing down, we go down 1. So right now we're in the neutral zone, so there's no change. And this happens after victory point scoring. Then, because I'm the victory point leader, I move down 1. And that's automatic. However, it does say in the rule book that if you made it to the championship, you move up 1. So that sort of negated the fact that we're winning the game. So, and the rivals don't track fans, but if you're playing multiplayer, there's going to be like, everybody has a different level of fans there. So that's interesting. And then another one is like, if you ever want to improve your manager, you're going to roll 2 dice, and you have to get an 11 or 12 to get a level 5 manager. You get to roll as many times as on the card. You may use multiple hot stove cards to hire a manager. So it's a way to upgrade your manager. Right now, our manager is a level 4, so that would be a tough one to do, but I just wanted to point that out, that that's another thing. And then it does show you the victory point tracker as well, so we don't have to look at the rule book or even the back of the player aid. But I do appreciate that the player aid has it. I just wish that the championship thing says that you would gain a fan. Because it doesn't tell you here that you gain a fan at all. And then over here it says you adjust fans. And in both cases, it's missing the fact that you're supposed to get a fan because the board doesn't say you get a fan either. So that's a big miss. Very disappointing. It was doing very well up to this point. So I almost want to write on the player aid. That's how badly it's missing. But everything else looked great. Okay, so now we're at the hot stove section. And this is the one that always, I don't know why it confuses me so much, but it shouldn't. There are some solo rules for hot stove. So we do what's called retirement. So it's telling us we draw 2 tokens and we choose 1 to apply to our team. Very simple, very straightforward. For the hot stove events, we're going to choose 1 of 2 drawn cards to apply. Look at the ID number for whatever I chose, and then check it against the rival's card, and they'll score victory points based on whatever I drew and chose. 56 and 57 do not affect you They affect your rival as above. And then for the bonus card resolution, we use the chart on the rival to determine who gets the victory points. You earn the bonus if you've exceeded your rival's value on each card, on the card. Each of his values takes the current game turn number. There we go. It finally explains what game turn number is right here. It's at the end of the rules. And either multiplies it or adds to it. If you don't get the bonus, then your rival does. For all bonus cards concerning use your stadium's single highest level tile in that category when figuring out your bonus value. For the most total stadium levels bonus cards, add together the highest level bleachers, concessions, field, etc. If you're at the maximum level, then you automatically win. That part I remember. So I will look at the regular rules and just make sure there's nothing missing, because so far we have seen some inconsistencies. So after doing the fan adjustments, we do a retirement. So this is where we're supposed to draw a number of these tokens right here, and equal to the number of players plus 1. So that part's consistent. This, I think, is a much more interesting mechanic when you're playing multiplayer. It allows the lowest, because that's where you do the reverse draft. So whoever's losing the game gets to pick first. And it's actually not even losing the game, it's who had the fewest wins. So it's not a victory point thing, it's a wins thing. So my apologies, I've been saying that wrong. When you're playing solo, you don't care, because it's just you. Now, it's just explaining that if a star retires, they go to the player pool on the board. They're not returned to the player pool on the board. Regular and prospect losses are shown by moving the tracking cube. And front office and farm system retirements reduce the category by 1. Manager markers are removed completely and must be rehired during the hot stove phase. Okay, so I probably need a better cup. And I know I have better cups around here. I used to use them for my war games. So this is like drawing a chit from a bag, and I don't, actually no, I do have some bags. I was going to use this, which is a fantastic cup for drawing from, by the way, but I just realized Chip Theory gave me some extra bags. I have this guy right here because they gave me these upgraded bags over there. This one feels very nice, though. I do like the feel of this one. So we're just going to drop all these right in there. Give it a good shake. And we're going to draw 2 of them. And then we get to keep 1. And then I played this card that lets me ignore the effects, so I probably don't even need to draw them, but so here we go. There was one other thing I forgot to mention. We are supposed to take these TQ tokens, and whichever team had the lowest wins, as long as it was less than all the players, and that includes the rivals, it gets eliminated. So like in this case, the 74 wins here, this one would be out of the game. However, these are all starter ones, so they're all going to be replaced, every one of them. So we don't do that here. So for the remainder of the years, we're going to use this stack that you see right here. And it's a much bigger stack. There's way more than 8 in there. And so we're going to randomize those, draw them, of course, for the players and for the whatevers. And at the end of next year, whichever one was the lowest, as long as it was lower than all the players, it's going to be permanently eliminated from the pool. And so this will gradually shrink a little bit, and we'll just be replacing it with or drawing from a smaller pool. So that's what the intent of that is. But because we're moving to year 2, we're using a whole different set of tokens anyways, so that doesn't matter. So now here's the tokens I was telling you about. So if you're playing an 8-player game, there'd be 9 of these out there. And some of them, of course, don't do anything bad, but this one is going to require me to lose a regular. Or this one, I have to lose a manager and a regular. And of course, I don't like either of them, and that's why I'm glad I have this card, so I don't have to do it. So that part I'm grateful for. And yeah, that concludes that piece. And then also, before we do the rest of the hot stove, I just realized I forgot to do this, which is the season bonus. Oh, it's the conclusion of the hot stove. So I'm going to put that there so I don't forget. And so we did the retirement, and then we go to the hot stove event. At the top of each, let's see, how does the player aid look? So draw tire tokens, players +1. Yeah, that actually looks really good. And then the next one, resolve hot stove event. Draw hot stove cards based on front office, minimum of 3. You can go up to 5. Play all the cards and determine the winner of the bonus card. Now the event, at the top of each hot stove card is an event. Draw the first 2 cards off the top and give them to the player with the fewest VPs. That player chooses one to go into effect and discards the other, and that gets resolved for all players. So obviously it's just us, which is why the rules were telling us that when we draw the 2, we get to choose, and we have to use the ID number to give out a bonus. So if I look at the hot stove cards, which are here, we're going to draw 1, 2. I'm just going to put this up here for now. Get this out of the way. So we're doing the event part, which is just the top. So we have Teamsters Union. For $2, each team may make 1 concession innovation. Innovation means you're flipping the disc. You're not actually putting it on your board. Barnstorming injury. All teams roll 1 die. 1 to 3, you lose a regular. 4 to 6, you lose a prospect. Ooh. Now, I could, I guess, cheat a little and look to see what does this impact do for the NPCs. I'm going to assume that the 9 does not give them any victory points because that hurts me and it doesn't hurt them at all. But I'm going to choose this one because I don't want to be hurt. And I'm going to pay $2 to make a concession innovation. So here's 1, 2, down to 49. And then we just take the concession, this one, and we flip it over. Like so. So now we got a level 4 concession available. For $2, I felt like that was not bad. And so we got to look at number 41, and for giggles, I'm going to look at number 9, just out of curiosity. All right, so we're going to start with Chicago. With Chicago, 9 would have given them -2 victory points. And we chose, what was it, 41? That gives them 0. And we're going to go to Cincy. 9 would have given him +1. And 41 gives him +2. Jeez Louise, Cincy. Red gets 2 points. And then we go to Brooklyn. 9 would have been 0. 41 is +2. So with that being said, we are all at a 4-way tie for victory points. So if I would have spent the $30, I would have been winning. I guess it's a very well-balanced game. And it's probably why you need to play 3 seasons, right? So now we draw hot stove cards. So I'm going to get 3. I don't have any media tokens at all, so I don't get to draw more than 3. And my field office is just a 3. And yeah, we play all the cards, just like we do for spring training. It's the exact same thing. So we now ignore the event and we do this. So here we go. We got a regular for 2 prospects or a 2 prospects for a regular. We can do 1 manager roll. We can do 3 stadium actions. We can drop farm system 1 level to gain a point or gain 1 media token. Ooh. I mean, I love the 3 stadium actions. I don't know if I can afford it, but we can set that aside. Here, drop the front office to gain a point. Media, 2, 1, 2 regulars for 3 prospects and $5. 2 manager rolls. Stadium action of 1. And remember, when you do manager roll, you're firing your manager. So if you actually roll worse, you could actually go down. I'm sitting at 4. Drop farm system 1 level to gain or 2 media. Well, this one I'm doing for 2 media tokens. So, because that's $10. So we're going to do that. This one, and you can do the same action on all these. So I can just do, hey, I want to do 5 stadium actions. I won't be able to afford it. I mean, you can take loans. Don't forget you can take loans. I mean, this is a nice way to gain a lot of prospects. I mean, you got to lose some regulars to do it, but I definitely want to do some stadium actions. So I'm going to do 3. I'm actually going to do 5 stadium actions. And because I think I'm going to do some innovation. Why not? So let's move our camera over here and figure out what we're going to do. I have $49. This will pay for itself. I can pay $20 and get 1 media tile, which is $5 each. But I feel like if I'm going to do some innovate, this is where I want to do it. I mean, the field might be nice to innovate because that gives me a die roll. This gives me a die roll and the team quality. So yeah, so I'm going to innovate this one once. And then I'm going to innovate this one once. And this one twice. Well, let me think about this. So the next one just gives me 2. And then 2. And then this one finally lets me just score points based on how many media tokens I have. And of course I'm screwing up the order here. I'm just not sure how much I care for the press box at the moment. I mean, at $30 to build a press box, that's a lot of money. Which probably means I just need to focus on the bleachers still and the concessions. So we've done 2, and I'm okay with flipping this one for 2. Now we still have 3 left. And the next concession costs $20, but I get $3 per bleacher, which right now I have 2. So if I did this one for 20, and then I did this one for 10, now I got money everywhere, right? I haven't covered anything up. That's 30, right? And then I said I have $49. I can do this one for 15 more. It gives me 1 fan during spring training. And I can put that there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bleachers and 3 concessions. And that leaves me with $4. Do I want a bleacher instead of a press box? I'm going to say yes because the press box is so expensive. I'm not going to be able to afford to have 2 of those, at least not easily. And I believe, and the rules don't tell me anything, this is a either or, and I believe I can always replace this with a press box. Let me verify. Okay, so I did verify in the rules that my understanding is correct. Even though I put a bleachers here, I can always replace that with a press box later. Because it's always whatever the original colors were. So you can flip-flop back and forth as much as you like. Now, one interesting thing is that we just drew a bad bunch of cards because there were opportunities to increase our front office. It's just that we kept getting the bonus action of reducing our front office to get a victory point. That's something you want to do at the end of the game because you don't care what your front office is anymore because you're just trying to win. But right now, that's a horrible idea. But there were hot stove cards that would have improved the front office. We just didn't draw any. All right, so that brings us to at least that piece. And then the final thing is we have to resolve this, which most total stadium levels. So we take the highest level of each. So I have a level 4 concession, 2 field for 6, 1 press box for 7, and a 4 bleacher for 11. And I think we figured out it was a certain multiplier times the turn. So it was times 2, times 3, and times 4. So they had 4 levels, and I blew them out of the water. Let's just put it that way. I currently have neither the most nor the least, so I'm going to get 2 victory points. And that is the difference maker so far in this game, is that I won the season bonus. All right, well, that wraps up one season of the game. We're going to be going to 1912 and doing the spring training again, which will start with this. But we will do that in video number 2. Thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.